Hey man, he brought Ben Bilal back at you again, man, with another edition of this Boomer Logic, man. And I want to start off by quoting uh, Winston Churchill: uh, "Never let a perfectly good crisis go to waste." But before we get into why I'm saying that, man, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I don't know how much longer it'll be around with the stuff that we be talking about on here, but man, subscribe to it. Hit the bell notification, thumbs up, like um, this subject matter, whatever it is. You know what to do. But back to the quote: "Never let a perfectly good crisis go to waste." We're in the midst of another crisis. Whether you like to acknowledge it, whether you would like to believe it or not, economically, this country is struggling. Um, Inflation is up. There's a lot of stuff going on around us socially, social unrest. And I personally believe that we're getting ready to go back into another recession, like I think it was 2008 that we went through. Not just a housing recession, but I believe an overall recession. Inflation, et cetera, et cetera. I believe, and I see the prices of everything going up. Like I say, I Instacart, I do all that type of stuff. So I'm seeing the prices going up. I'm starting to see how things are becoming more and more scarce. FYI, if you're trying to get some bottled water, stuff like that, man, you might want to start stocking up on it now. Because, man, when I say that them shelves are getting really, really scarce, man, in all these particular stores I go into, Sam's Club, Publix, uh, Walmart, all these places is getting a little more harder. Well, at least in my area. So it could be different in your area, but just FYI, man, start getting your supplies up, start getting prepared. Even if no crisis even is, guess what that does? It puts you ahead of the curve in 6 months, 12 months. You're ahead of the curve. You got supplies, you're stocked up on everything. That frees up money that you can put into other places to create other revenue streams for yourself, for your household, for your family. But I digress and get back to the point. My point here was in times of crisis, this is when your white collar criminals are going to come out. Your con men, your scammers. If a lot of you remember the whole pandemic thing with the whole COVID thing, you had a lot, man. Listen, when I say it was a lot, especially that credit card fraud, all that fraud stuff was going through the roof, especially dealing with DoorDash. Everybody was reporting that they didn't get their food, scamming credit cards. And Bank of America actually is pulling out of the EDD thing down in California. They don't want no more parts of it. The unemployment stuff, they don't want any more parts of it because it's become such a large scam platform to scam to get money to get checks. Bank of America is trying to actually pull out of that now because all the scams and stuff is going on. And when crisis hits, this is when you're going to see an uptick in scamming, especially in the black communities, because a lot of us in times of crisis, the first thing we do is look up to heaven and point our hands up and say, God help us, you know what I'm saying? And we think that we're being blessed as soon as somebody comes, his messenger, or you catch it on YouTube, or you go to church and your pastor's trying to say you something. I'll get to that in a second. Um, all these scams are coming at you at an expeditious rate, and you're panicking. So you automatically cleave to something and believe that this is God blessing you, because you prayed, because you're panicking, because you're in a state of frustration, because things are at a minimum, and just things are out of control and out of sorts. So you believe that this is God's way of hearing your prayer and blessing you with it. For instance, I'm gonna give a couple general instances. One was out of Texas, I believe. And most of you already know about this. I think I can't remember what it was called. I'll find out the name later, but it was a husband and wife, two young people, and they were scamming it. They scammed like for 20 or 40 million during that the pandemic. They were coming out saying that, and they used the whole people who look like us, and they come in and bless you, and God gonna bless, all those key phrases that perks up your ears and gets you interested and sucks you in. They used all of that in their pyramid scheme, and sold these people dreams to get them invested. These people were given their money hand over fist, and these people just raped them and took off. Now they're in trouble, of course. I can't remember. It's a husband and wife, two black young people. Most of y'all already probably either heard of it or know who they are. If you haven't researched, I think they're out of Texas. Then it's a pastor during the whole pandemic thing. His joker was selling his congregation bonds, old bonds that was worthless from China, that were worthless, and he was selling them to them and promising them a return on their investment in a matter of weeks. And this is what most of them will do in these times of crisis, because white-collar criminals already understand that you got your hands pointed to God, and they're taking this opportunity and using this crisis to feed and to prey on your distress. And this is what they do. They have no moral compass. They don't care. It's about their pockets. And this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that they can live in the limelight, have this, have that. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I was just looking at a bunch of them here the other day and just preparing myself mentally for what's to come, because you got to look at it from all different angles. You just can't prep and prep and prep. You got to be prepared for the scammers, because they coming. I remember when that whole pandemic thing happened, like I say, Instacart was getting hit. DoorDash was getting hit bad with the whole scam thing, as well as a lot of other things, Bank of America, a lot of other things. And me, myself, I was receiving a lot of stuff, emails, stuff like that, a lot of scams through the mail. But for the most part, not for the most part, all of it I ignored, because I've been locked up with white-collar criminals for years upon years, so I can identify most of it out the gate, like, nah, that's a scam. Now, with technology being what it is, they would have the ability to get me. But my wife, she's explained these things to me like, hey, look, that's a scam. Don't hit that. Don't touch that. That's not right. So she has empowered me with that type of information in accordance to technology to keep me safe. But for the most part, if I just listen to people, I hear the dudes that I was in prison with all over again. I say, man, I see it coming from a mile away. But anyway, I digress, and just give you guys this information and give you this warning in advance, man, that it's coming. Not only do you have to prepare yourself as far as the physical goals, your supplies, the needs that you need to have stocked up. And once again, if it never happens, you're still ahead of the curve. You know what I'm saying? You still have plenty of stuff that you've already stocked up in your pantry, and that frees up more revenue for you to go ahead and do other things, invest in other things, and get yourself started in other areas. But I also pre-warn you about the scammers, because they coming. In these times of crisis, this is when white-collar crime goes up, because of the fact that all of y'all, the majority of you, I'm telling you, what you do is you point your hand straight to heaven and you beg God for guidance and deliverance and please help us, and you stuff in the pastors' coffers and making them more rich instead of doing what you know to do. I'm going to digress on that point, but just be prepared, man. Be prepared mentally, emotionally. Be prepared. Watch out for the white-collar criminals. They're coming in droves. I'm going to give you something out of Acts 17. I'm just going to kind of weave this in. Paul talked about this group of people called the Bereans, and he talks about when he went over there to discuss his belief in the Messiah, everything that transpired with him. He said that this particular group of people thoroughly investigated. They didn't just listen to him. They thoroughly investigated the matter. And I'd speak to you all who believe in the Bible, but a lot of y'all don't. And this is kind of how I use it. Excuse my dog. This is her morning routine. She's barking at whoever it is. But anyway, he talked about the Bereans and how he came over there, and once he presented his argument, that the Bereans went back and fact checked before they even jumped on board with anything he was talking about. They went back and thoroughly checked it, and he made a particular point to mention these people and talked about how honorable they were because of what they did, and that they were more honorable than the people he just left because of the fact that they went and checked first to make sure that everything he was saying was accurate and on point. My point in saying that is, when these people come to you with these schemes and scams, thoroughly check what they're talking about. Don't just buy into and send these people money, man. Thoroughly investigate. Thoroughly look into. Don't just use the first two layers, because generally that's what they do. They patent with the first two layers. You check out a couple people's reviews of them and what they say about them. And then you say, oh, it's the truth. This is what God sent me. No, you just continue to go down and look and research, and you know what I'm saying? You'll probably find some cracks in the armor. And a lot of times if people just got good reviews, they're not telling the truth anyway. So thoroughly investigate. Be like the Bereans, man. Check, fact check, double check, triple check. You know what I'm saying? And for you all who keep lifting your hands every time a situation goes on, let me guide you once again back to the Bible. It was a particular instance when the children of Israel came out of Egypt. And you all know the story. Everybody knows this story. Where they were at the Red Sea and they turned around and they looked and they seen Pharaoh coming, right? So what was the first thing they started to do when they seen Pharaoh? They started to cry out, oh man, why did you bring us out here, Moses? And why did God bring us out here just to die in the wilderness? We could have stayed back there. We told you. And woo. So Moses said, hold up, listen, just be patient. Watch the liberation of Yahweh. Watch his hand. He got you. Just trust, hold up, just be patient. And Yahweh spoke to Moses and he said, hey, listen, why are y'all crying out to me? Why are y'all crying out to me? And the reason he said that is because they knew what to do. Then he turns around and tells Moses what to do. They knew what to do already. They already had faith in Yahweh. The faith showed and was exhibited when they walked out of Egypt. They showed that faith. Faith without works is what a lot of you say. Stop raising your hands to the sky every time you have an issue. You know what to do. You know what to do. But you always look to God to bail you out. Stop looking to be bailed out instead of putting into action what you already know what to do. 2 trillion. I'm gonna keep throwing it out there. 2 trillion, man. You know what to do. You have the financial foundation. You already have the financial stability. You already have it. It's there. So you know what to do. But I digress on that point once again. And I love saying digress if you haven't noticed yet. But anyway, just want to give y'all them a few tips, man, them few little jewels, man, before I get out of here this morning. It's a Sabbath, not supposed to be leaving out, but man, with the way things are going, I've been having to work a few Sabbaths, man, just to make sure that my household is prepared and ready, got things put away. But I wanted to leave y'all with one thing, man, real quick. Turn y'all this way. I see all this stuff over here. It's my little setup, but I haven't been using it. But anyway, I want to show y'all something real quick. Okay, if y'all don't know what this is peppermint oil, right? This is peppermint oil. Now, if you have a bug issue, right? If you have issues with bugs or whatnot, right? This peppermint oil, and I'm not bumping for this particular company, but I'm just showing you this is where I get mine. It's called Green Health Peppermint Oil. It's 100%. So what I do is I take the peppermint oil and I put it in the water, just a basic spray bottle, and I spray it along the baseboards of my house. Like so. If y'all see that? Just along those baseboards, all the way around my house. And what it does is it sets up a perimeter. I learned about this probably about 3 years ago. Man, it works like a charm. I was told about it when I first came home because I had a big bug issue down here in Georgia. It's different. And when we speak about bugs, we're not just talking about roaches and stuff like that. Man, like this year, for some reason, there's an uptick in beetles down here from what I can see. Every time I wake up, it was a bunch of beetles in the house. So what I did was went and got my peppermint oil again, and I started to spray the peppermint oil. And what you do is you spray a barrier And you do it for about a week. I spray the peppermint oil twice a day. In the morning, I spray a nice heavy coating, so my house is reeking strong with peppermint oil, and it's a good smell. And then I go right outside and I spray a perimeter in front of the doors, the bottoms of the doors and the sides of the doors, to set up a nice parameter. And ultimately what it does, after a week, I don't see any bugs at all, period. And we're not just talking about roaches, flies. It wards away flies. It does away with everything, man. We used to have a bunch of flies at our window when it gets hot. For some reason, just flies accumulate down here. So what we did was, around our patio screen door, we sprayed, and flies gone. Once again, no beetles. It's real good for spiders if you got a spider infestation, or you have roaches. Like we used to have an issue with cockroaches, because they're down here. It's just I've never seen a place, man, where you could be the cleanest person in the world and just have roaches, man. It's like something I've never seen before. I go to people's houses and do clear outs and stuff, and you go through the yards, and it's roaches all in the grass, just everywhere out here. So what we did, once again, we had the peppermint oil, sprayed it for a week. After a week, you won't see them, but you have to continue to use it, because if for some reason it repels bugs. And it's a great thing to have. But anyway, man, I just wanted to give y'all a look at this peppermint oil this morning, and y'all to go ahead and get y'all, mine cost, that bottle right here cost, this bottle here, it costs $35. $35. I get it off of Amazon. Like I say, I just put it in I put 2 teaspoons, 2 capfuls in a regular size spray bottle, shake it up, and as y'all can see how the oil congeals on the top, you just shake it up and you spray it. Simple as that. Just giving y'all a pro tip this morning, man. But anyway, man, like I said, man, these people are not going to waste a good crisis. Be safe, be ready, be prepared, because they're going to come out the woodwork, man, and it's so bad because we prey on ourselves. We prey on each other. But I'm going to get out of here, man. Love y'all. See y'all next time, man. And like I always say at the conclusion of this thing, man, Boomer's Logic, he run them alive. If you haven't already, go to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and giving wisdom to those wise old boomers and to the millennials. Since you don't know how to think, I just gave you an opinion. Love y'all. I'll see y'all on the next one.